So today, February 25th, 2021, Bungie has released a new blog post called Destiny 2 2021 Update: The Road to the Witch Queen. Starts out with some greetings of the past and just some light introductions, but then we really start to get into the meat of it. So, the big thing right here is the Witch Queen, Lightfall, and Beyond. They're all being delayed. Witch Queen is being delayed till early 2022, and which inevitably means the other two are getting delayed. That's what I meant by that. Yeah, so it's being delayed early 2022. I mean, that's what they need to do. If that's what they need to do, then that's what they need to do. So, okay. Nothing more to say there. I mean, there's nothing you could do about it. Just accept it. Move on. Here is the biggest news we've ever got. Who would imagine that the community that told Bungie that double primaries was a bad idea would also say that sunsetting is a bad idea? Who would imagine that the community that's been playing this game since 2016 would say that this is a bad idea? Who would imagine that I said that sunsetting was bad and actually showed data and graphs of how it is bad? And finally, Bungie listens. They're finally listening, guys. With Season 11, we introduced Infusion Caps, an iteration on an infusion designed to keep Destiny's gear game fresh from release to release and to create a healthy ecosystem for our aspirational content. While we still believe in these goals, it's clear our execution was off the mark. We've made the decision that any weapon or armor that can currently be infused to max power will continue to be able to reach max power permanently. Starting in Season 14, we won't be capped the infusion on any weapons or armor that have not already reached the cap as of the start of Season 13. This means you'll be able to take your Fallen Guillotine, and all the high stat armor you've earned this year to take on the raid in the Witch Queen. Now this is important. This basically means anything that has not been sunset will not be sunset. However, things that have been sunset will be sunset. And this is honestly the right approach to doing this. This is the best way to cut sunsetting out of the game. Because they can't just say all the previous stuff is not going to be sunset, because then you have all the people that like deleted their stuff. Like, that's not fair, because you can't earn that stuff anymore. Had sunsetting never been a thing, people would have held on to that stuff and actually been using it. But since sunsetting has currently been like, I think, 2 seasons so far? People have already deleted the stuff that's been sunset, so this is the best way to do that for everyone to start fresh in a non-sunsetting world. While we still strongly believe that Destiny needs a method to shift our meta in the game's most challenging activities, we don't believe that infusion caps are the right answer. We're taking time this year to research and validate a plan that creates a fresh and balanceable ecosystem for our most aspirational content, one that doesn't make our rewards feel like they have an expiration date. We've learned a lot this year and don't want to rush finding the best plan, so don't expect to hear anything about this until after the Witch Queen. You know, it's kind of crazy. Who said that there were a million more better ideas to this? The community. They're basically admitting that sunsetting was just a quick, easy solution to a problem they had. I don't think they understand why the meta exists in the current form it does. Because they go and buff rocket launchers and nerf swords. What was the point of nerfing swords? We're still using 2 good swords. They came out with Lament at the damage it came out with. Don't tell me they didn't balance that. Don't tell me they didn't use it. How would they not have some employees that were like, hey, we should use this in the raid to test it out. This is supposed to be the aspirational content that our meta ecosystem is changing in. So let's try out all the exotics. Because exotics are an easy thing to test. They're a singular, exact rolled item, which means that they're easier to balance. They don't have to worry about random rolls and stuff. And Dead Man's Tale and the name is skipping me. The hand cannon we got last season. Those have random rolls, but those are the perks on them aren't super changing. They don't super make them broken or anything. I find it astonishing that the community is right constantly about what we actually want. And it takes this long for Bungie to actually do something about it. Now, thankfully, they are doing something. They are listening. They actually remove sunsetting. We actually got them to remove sunsetting. I'm actually astonished. I never thought this was going to happen. I've always thought that, sunsetting would be fine if we had a way to counteract it, like a rare resource that we can find from raids, trials, dungeons, Iron Banner, etc., that we can like put into our gun to raise its cap. That's was my thought personally. But they're getting rid of sunsetting, so that's good. But this does come with a cost. Because we won't be capping any more of our weapons, we must consider more variables in the game balance of our upcoming seasons and releases. So expect to see tuning when it comes to our biggest outliers in PvP and PvE. Yes, I'm looking at you, Fellwinters and Warmind Cells. Now here's the thing. They were already doing this. They gave us just some random ass sword nerf because people were using them. Like, they were already doing this. So this literally doesn't change anything. This just gives us like the usability of every weapon in the game. Like every weapon you get now can actually be used going forward. It's kind of crazy also because like they've been making new perks for weapons these last 2 seasons. It's crazy that they did that because those are reasons to change weapons. And they're not these perks that like are just flat out superior to every other perk. Like some of them are. It's all about opportunity cost with the perks. It's like, what is the best possible perk in this column I can get for what I want it to do? That's all it comes down to. All they have to do is make unique and interesting utility-esque perks like field prep. It gives you more reserves so you don't have to put reserves mods on. Stuff like that. This is the best thing here though. It's crazy. Next article. This is about max power increases from season to season. So instead of doing 50 power each season, they're just going to do 10 power each season, meaning that if you finish the pinnacle grind, so you get to max gear score at the end of a season, when the next season starts, you're automatically starting the pinnacle grind right there. So this is going to make leveling 10 times better. Well, 5 times better if you want to look at it like that, like the difference we're getting. This will be 5 times better. Like, this is just going to make leveling more convenient for everyone. It's not hurting anyone. The pinnacle grind was kind of stupid anyways. The only reason you ever needed to get the pinnacle grind was for PvP, like Iron Banner and Trials, because power's enabled there, or Grandmasters. So 3 activities in the entire game was the only reason you ever had to do the pinnacle grind before this. So that's the big thing right there. Angels of Death. This is talking about high-level version of the Crucible. These are just like their views on Crucible right here. They do mention some big changes that they're going to be doing. Behemoth Titan. Decrease super damage reduction. Increase super energy cost when performing light attacks. Remove freeze AoE on super cast. Reduce traveling efficiency of Shiver Strike when slowed. Now, these are nerfs. If you haven't seen my stasis video, I basically talk about how, like, more or less I think stasis is fine. I mean, these are, whatever. This is what they want to do. These things will be coming across Season 13 and 14, by the way. I'm not a fan of this thing, remove freeze AoE on Supercast. Oh, but these are only in PvP. In the Crucible, right there. So, there's that. I thought this was pretty cool, the AoE on Supercast. I thought it was something that, like, sort of made it a little more unique. Because it gave you a different playstyle compared to the other supers. You could pop it in, like, to counter something coming to you. So, it's kind of sad to see that go. But, moving on. Revenant Hunter, decrease Withering Blade damage and tracking. Decrease slowest stacks applied to targets. Remove Shatter Dive damage reduction. The last 2 things right here. Well, first off, I like the first one. Like, I think that thing tracks way too much. Honestly, the damage, like, it's a melee. Like, I get its range, but I think the tracking on these and, like, the Titan shields from their super, little much. I don't understand what the slow means. So, like, are 2 shurikens not going to be enough to freeze people? That's my concern. Like, I'm not a hunter main, and I understand how people would say that these are, like, overpowered. But, like, that would be kind of disappointing to, like, not be able to freeze people with 2 glaives. Because it's, like, that's what you're supposed to do, throw 2 of them to freeze. And, like, I think tracking enough is honestly just enough for the melee. And then Shadow Dive, damage reduction, I don't think this is going to be... Like, it's such a fast animation, I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference. It'll be, like, 5 to 10% of the time, maybe, that people will kill you. I think they should just do a cooldown on it if they want to nerf it. Like, a cooldown like the Shiver Strike, the slide. I think that's what that is. I'm not a Titan main. Don't get mad at me. The slide that Titans have, and then the Frostbolt thing that Warlocks have as their aspect. Those both have cooldowns. Just give Shatter Dive a cooldown if you want to nerf it. Those are my thoughts about that. The Warlock, they fix bugs, some tracking issues with their melees. So that's kind of a buff for the Warlock. They're just generally decreasing crystal shatter damage. And then here's another interesting note. For Season 15, we are also looking at universal adjustments to stasis by increasing damage reduction when frozen to provide more survivability for the victim. This is alright. I see what they're doing here, but I have one concern with the Shadebinder Warlock. The melee is already such a low duration of freeze, you don't even have time to break out of it. So it's like, what's going to happen here? Is this going to end up being like a buff to that person that gets frozen? Because if you're not like perfect on after the freeze to like kill them, you know, you could just be buffing them in this case. Now, obviously it's going to wait for numbers, but I'm going to kind of make a prediction here that this is going to end up leading to a Warlock nerf because of that fact. Because Warlocks have like, their freezing has the lowest duration. Because all the other classes have the same grenades, and then the melee, the new Titan melee, it freezes for a good amount of time. The Hunter, the double glaives, it freezes for a good amount of time. Warlocks have the lowest duration of freezing on enemies outside of the super. So, yeah, there's that. Moving on. They're just talking about how they're going to be buffing the light subclasses. Don't expect like a whole change like we have stasis where you can do skill trees and stuff. I don't think they're going to do that right now. Because also Luke Smith was saying how like the supers, it would be kind of confusing to like redo it how stasis is done because it only has one super, even though they've literally built the system so that you can change like each node. That's beyond me. Right here they're talking about how they want weapons to sort of be the primary thing for PvP. I disagree with that. I think it's cool when abilities are useful in PvP. Because right here, in addition, at Season 15, we will also be looking to adjust overall ability usage rates to make sure guns and gunplay are always key to success in the Crucible. That's an interesting way of phrasing it, but I don't know. This just sounds like they're going to nerf abilities, which is kind of disappointing to me because I think abilities are like the best thing about Destiny. Like, the guns are really good. I think the guns are solid. I think right now the guns are pretty balanced in PvP. You can use almost anything you want and be pretty effective. Right here they talk about cheaters. They're saying how they're going to deal with cheaters. They're doubling the size of the Bungie game security team this year, reflecting our long-term commitment to fair play. We've begun regular surveys to better understand your experience with cheating and to measure our progress. This new data enriches our existing streams from player reports. Thank you for reporting. And game instrument. If you receive one of these surveys, please share your experience to help us fight cheating. This right here. Okay. Like, there's cheaters in the game. They literally are admitting it. This is just how they're collecting data, which is weird. We've begun a strategy of aggressive legal action against cheat developers. You may have seen news articles about some of our early actions here, and we will continue to pursue those who undermine fair play, using every tool at our disposal, both in partnerships and other studios and under our own flag. Now, something here I want to talk about. I could make a whole video on this topic alone, but I'll give a brief thing about this. So Bungie and Riot Game Studios are both suing Perfect Aim. I believe that's the name of the cheat website. Because this company has developed cheats for both Valorant and Destiny. Now, this is my little tidbit about this. To me, what I see from this, the only reason they're suing them is because that's the only direction they see fit that they are able to get rid of their cheats for their games. Because they're not able to actually develop an anti-cheat that can counter their cheats. Because Valorant has this intrusive, root level, kernel level anti-cheat, and they still had cheats. Like, what's the point of giving up so much of your personal security. You don't know what that anti-cheat is doing on your computer. You have no clue what it's doing, and it's there, and people can. It doesn't even do its job. Is what I'm saying. So, to me, this legal action is just something that Bungie and Riot are trying to do. It's their only solution to getting rid of cheats, is what I see it as. Personally, if I were in charge, I would be hiring the people creating these cheats. Like, if you can't beat them, have them join you. Like, Bungie, I can guarantee you, Bungie has way more money than these cheat developers have. Like, just hire the people that are making the cheats. They know the problems with the game. Like, that is the best solution, personally, if I were in charge. Here's a big thing. They talk about, like, generic, like, we want to make trials better. They don't talk about, like, specifics. They're, like, very general, broad, like, keep players playing until the end of the card. Make it so players aren't resetting their card. Like, give us some detail. Look, I can tell you how to keep players playing to the end. Make adept weapons not shit. Like, that's all you have to do. Put celerity as an intrinsic and let them roll 2 random perks that are good. Always good. Don't put hipfire grip on a sniper. I'm not saying they have that. I'm saying, like, don't put stupid perks on weapons that they don't belong on. Like, that's all you have to do. Put cool perks. Put unique perks. That's all you have to do. That's how you get people wanting to go flawless. Another thing is player population in trials. Give us a ton of tokens. Like, put tokens in trials. Tokens are so scarce right now that it's like, why would I even attempt it? I only play trials when there's a good 3-win item. I don't go for armor because I don't want to dilute my loot pool from Mr. Saint 14. Like, there's no point for me, if I'm a loot-driven person, to go for armor from him. Because it just diminishes what I will get out of the 20 tokens I get from winning 3 games. Like, these things aren't hard. They're very simple. But, like, they still don't understand that, like, they can't just give us, like, in-depth, like, this is what we are going to do. It's like they don't understand why people aren't playing it. First off, cheaters on PC. Obviously, that's a problem. It's the perception of cheaters also. So, like, first 3 games, typically not going to encounter cheaters. I mean, you can, maybe at this point, because of, like, how few people that are playing it. Because the fewer people there are, the higher chance you are going to run into an individual that is cheating. So, like, that's a big part of it. So, the best solution to cheaters in trials is honestly just getting more players in trials. Because that diminishes the chance of you actually running into an individual running cheats. Because majority of the community does not run cheats. You know, there's millions of people that play this game. The chance of you finding that 1 in a million person that's running cheats is extremely low when there's that many people playing it. They are talking about, right here, investigate opportunities for solo players to participate in trials regularly. We believe this will not only make the matchmaking pools healthier, but also will encourage more players to see what trials is all about and hopefully form social connections with other PvP loving guardians. I'm all for the social connections. Like, if they want to make this game an MMO, that's a key aspect of MMOs. I wouldn't say Destiny is an MMO, but you know, they're moving in the right direction with that. What does this mean? Are they gonna do, like, solo matchmake? That'll be interesting. I think I don't know, like, they could put, like, qualifiers on it. Like, maybe you have to play so many elimination games or something, because, like, the problem with matchmaking, just pure matchmaking, is, like, consider putting matchmaking on a raid. Now, it's not that bad for trials because it's very self-explanatory. Just kill the enemy, you know? It's super simple, the objective in PvP. But it's like, the stakes are a lot higher. I mean, they could do, like, a bond, a boon, the passage or whatever it's called, where it's only solo players. I'd be down for that. Like, I don't want to see solo players being a thing that backfills 2 stacks. I would only want to see, like, a solo playlist, so that, you know, you and your enemy team are effectively equal footing compared to, like, communication and stuff. Because that's the thing that hurts solo players, is lack of communication. So hopefully but if there's no token rewards, people aren't going to want to solo. You know? Like, people aren't going to want to actually go into trials unless there is a reason to go in for like tokens or whatever. And there needs to be a lot of tokens. A lot of tokens make adept weapons better and give a reason for people to actually go into the playlist. Praetor's Revenge. This is a cool one. Season 14, Vaulted Glass will return. Our philosophy behind bringing things out of the Destiny content vault is to keep them feeling like the content we remember while updating them to meet Destiny 2 difficulty and raid standards. So while the high-level experience remains the same, you should expect the raid team to have a few tricks up their sleeves when you tackle the Depths of Venus this summer. So right here, Depths of Venus. Does that mean we're getting Venus? My bet is we're not. I think what they're going to do is just port over the entrance area for VoG. But I don't know. I could stand corrected. Like, it'd be cool to see Venus. I think it would be really disappointing to have Vaulted Glass return and it being on Venus, like canonically in D2. Like, we're not going through some Vex portal. I think that would be a better solution if you're not going to bring in Venus. Make it to where, like, the entrance, the opening scene is different and we're going from, like, Nessus or something. Because the cool thing about Venus in D1 was that it was this thing you could see while you were, like, out in Venus. You could see 6 people trying to get into the Vaulted Glass. You'd be like, oh, man, I can go help them, you know? Or, like, you could be doing the raid, and you could see, like, all these randos, like, riding by in their sparrows. Those are the things that made the game feel like an MMO and feel alive. For example, the battlegrounds. These are not done well in the sense that they're in the public space, but you don't see anyone else. You don't run around Nessus and see people doing the battlegrounds. That would be cool. That's what they should be. Not public events. But if something is going to be in a public space, it shouldn't be an instanced version of it. It should be the public space. Now, I get it. It's like technical challenges and stuff. But like, dude, they did it in D1. I don't see why they couldn't do it in D2 with an updated engine. You know? Vaulted Glass will also launch with both a contest mode in the first 24 hours and a World First race. Since this is a reprised raid, we're going to do World's First a bit different. Players looking to claim the belt will not only have to complete the raid, but also a curated list of challenging triumphs. And while only one fire team will walk away with a belt, there will be plenty of opportunities for players to earn the ability to purchase some sweet real-world loot through Bungie Rewards. This is so cool, because we all basically understand how to do Vaulted Glass, or we could go look up a dado guide from when Vaulted Glass came out and learn it very quickly. So first off, they said they're going to change it a little bit. I'm thinking like overload wyverns or something crazy. That would be crazy with contest active. But this thing where you have to complete these triumphs, I actually really like that, because what this does is it gives random people a better chance at winning, because it's like, say you have a triumph for every encounter. You know, that may not be the most efficient way of doing it, of completing the raid. But you could get a triumph done if you do some weird, obscure way. And it also takes time for people to actually figure out what to do typically. Now, to be fair, most of these triumphs do explain what to do. But we also have to hope that the triumphs are not bugged. That would be a really big letdown. That they're bugged and no one can get the world's first belt. But this does give more people a greater chance at the world's first. Because you complete Vaulted Glass in the first 24 hours, which most people I think should be able to, because we have all this prep. We generally speaking know how to do it. It's just going to be some, like, you know, what's the best damage this season, what's the best loadout, what are the new items, what are the new mods, stuff like that, and figuring out the new changes. But then for the world's first race, it's going to be like, oh, well, we have to do Atheon completely different. You know, we have to swap people in and out. There's going to be sweet real-world loot through the Bungie rewards. Hopefully a cool raid jacket. I would be very interested. I really like the Garden of Salvation raid jacket. It's very cool. But if I got like a day one clear, which I'm definitely going to go for, me and my clan, we're definitely going to do it. I'm pretty sure we're going to get a day one clear. That'll be fun to do. Day ones are really fun. Here's another really big thing for you PvE people, and myself. I'm a PvE main. Before the end of the year, we are also looking to add a master version of Vaulted Glass. We've been really excited about how Master and Grandmaster difficulty have altered Nightfall strikes, increasing the potency of combat and the importance of executing mechanics. We'd like all our future raid and dungeon content to offer master difficulty versions, where players can earn adept raid and dungeon gear. And while we aren't able to comment commit to a season 14 timeframe for Master Vogue, we do want to take the time to develop a sustainable structure that allows us to ship these closer together in future releases. Now, a lot of what I've read previously about these rad content, I like that phrasing, by the way, Bungie, good job on that. Perfect right there. And the trials thing. A lot of focus is about raid gear. Adept gear. Adept gear. Adept gear is meaningless when you have these stupid perks like Celerity and Bottomless Pit or whatever it's called that take up a perk slot and are only active when you're the last person alive and does such marginal benefits that it's not even worth it. What is the point of doing that? You just need to put those perks... Bottomless Grief, that's what it's called for the Nightfall one. You need to put those perks on the intrinsic slot of the Adept version. That's all you have to do. The raid weapons, here's a super easy example. Just have it do like for Volta Glass. Let's say it creates a little Vex puddle when you kill something with a precision hit and it's on a 10-second timer or something. That would be a cool raid intrinsic weapon perk. Just do something like that. Just do an intrinsic perk on them, on their... that's all you have to do. People will go after them. But if they're just going to have this stupid perk that's my team has to be dead for me to get any benefit, to get 10% more damage, which none of those Bottomless Grief and Celerity do not do damage buffs, because they don't want it to be abusive in trials or whatever. You have to make these weapons better than the normal versions. Compare the normal version to the Adept version, and there has to be... Dude, just put Field Prep intrinsically on the weapons. That's all it takes. A simple buff here and there. Just something subtle like this. Put Osmosis. That would make the weapons amazing. But they don't do this. So I'm pleading with you, Bungie. Please make the Adept weapons have a purpose. I don't care about... Nobody cares about the shader in Destiny 2. Nobody looks at a gun and be like, oh, that's Adept. You're really good. They look at people with Trials Adept weapons. They're like, you're probably a cheater. Or you got a recov or something. That's what people do. People don't care about the Adept weapons because they don't do anything. The mods are basically pointless for the PvP crowd because they all want to use Icarus Grip. PvE... this is the first season we've gotten Adept weapons. I never got any Trials Adept. I've never went flawless. I don't think I'll go flawless in the current system. I'm fine with that. But Grandmasters obviously aren't out yet, and that's how you get the Adept weapons. A chance, by the way. Totally disagree with that. But it's the mods aren't big enough of a benefit to use them. Okay, that's my rant on Adept weapons, but that is a major thing that they need to do if they want these hard mode raids and trials to be successful. Another note on the Master and Grandmaster raids or whatever they're doing. I guess Master only. They were just mentioning Master and Grandmaster Nightfalls. An easy modifier that would make it really hard. Challenge, match game, put shields on fucking everything. Everything should have shields in those raids and dungeons. Make it hard. Make it to where you cannot solo flawless them. A solo flawless Master dungeon should not be possible with how difficult it is. These things need to be hard because this is who you are making them for. You are making them for the people that want to do Grandmasters or Master. Master is difficult, but dude, Grandmaster, it's leaps and bounds above difficult compared to that. You don't need all the Grandmaster crazy modifiers though. Just match game, challenge, and shields on everything, and maybe triple or double the amount of champions. Champions are a pushover when they're not in Grandmasters or Masters. They're literally a joke. You don't even need the champion mods to deal with them. I don't know why why Bungie doesn't want to make you engage with the champion mods. So make the Master raids and dungeons really hard. They need to be so excruciating hard that I come on and make a YouTube video that these things are too hard. That's how hard they need to be. Probably not that hard because I'm... Not to toot my own horn, but I'm pretty good at the PvE stuff, so, if I were doing that, they'd be pretty hard. Okay, the last and really cool, important topic that I think most people are going to not really consider that important. There are a few miscellaneous things after this, so I'll get to that after. is Ada 1 is coming back, and she's going to be our Transmog lady. It's going to be called Armor Synthesis in Destiny 2. Every season, Ada will offer players a set of bounties that highlight various activity types. Players can complete these quests and receive the materials they need to power up Ada's loom, which can turn any piece of armor in your collection into a permanent universal ornament. Players short on time will also be able to purchase synthesis tokens for silver. So there is the purchasable and the in-game effort thing right there. Thank you, Bungie, for not just doing bright dust cost on the armor. To be fair, y'all did improve the bright dust economy a little bit better. So, but thank God, it's a new material that you have to do activities. You have to play the game in different particular ways. But for the love of God, do not do Guardian game type bounties. Get 30 kills with a smoke bomb. Nobody wants to do that. Like that. Make these bounties fun. Make them like complete a raid using all arc element or something. Complete a raid with hand cannons in every encounter or something like that. Like complete a dungeon with 2 people. I don't know. Get 3 wins in trials. There's another way to encourage people to go into trials. And don't feel scared about putting this currency elsewhere, like just as a random reward in places. A ghost perk would also be cool to get it too. Once you've acquired some new universal ornaments, you will want to head over to the new appearance screen in the character menu where you can manage the ornaments and all your gear in one place. You'll also find that you can apply shaders here individually or on all pieces of your equipped gear with one click. To make it even easier to try out a bunch of new looks in Season 14, we've also changed shaders to be permanent unlocks, meaning you no longer will need to hold onto stacks of shaders in your inventory. Thank you. I don't think people understand, but this is actually going to help Bungie a lot, to my understanding, because it is just stored as a data sheet somewhere in their files, but it's like every player has X amount of inventory of shaders, and each shader has Y amount of how many pieces they have in that stack. X by Y, that's a lot of things for each player to have stored on their character sheet. So this should help Bungie eliminate some of that like data and like help the servers and let them improve the game and the load times and stuff like that. So this should subtly, I'm not saying to a large extent, but I'm saying like there should be an impact that is beneficial to doing this if they actually tie the collections correctly. At the beginning of Season 14, we will be including a starter supply of synthesis materials as a reward for completing the seasonal onboarding quest. We know many of you have been looking forward to synthesis for a long time and want to front load your ability to create some of the looks you've been looking forward to showing off. So here's an example of how that UI is going to look. Also, thank you, Bungie, for giving us some free ones for just playing. Oh, that's weird. What are these unlocked? Why are these locked? Like, are they going to... Oh, Bungie, for the love of God, do not have certain armor only be transmoggable or synthesizable. For the love of God, all armor needs to be able to be synthesized. What is the point in doing a system that is designed around player expression if you're going to be limiting player expression? Why is there a lock here? That, to me, this implies that these are all the available armor to unlock. Now, granted, I'm saying this without them specifying what these locks mean. But to me, what this looks like is these are the things that you can unlock. Because if they're locked, that means that it implies they can be unlocked. So please don't tell me that you're going to control which ones we unlock. Now, as another counterpoint to my hyperbolic nature, these could just be on a test character where these are the only things in their collections. But for the love of God, I'm just saying the worst case scenario here, because we've seen some dumb stuff be added to this game in weird ways that just the community could spot from a mile away, and for some reason, Transmog entered the game. And here are the miscellaneous things. So, crossplay is coming to the masses in Season 15. We'll be doing some internal rollouts and alpha tests in Season 14 to prepare for a widespread launch this fall. With crossplay, you'll be able to play with all your friends no matter what platform you call home. And don't worry, we won't be matching console and PC players together in the Crucible unless PC players specifically invite their console friends to play with them in the PC Crucible pools. Some of you have noticed that Ikora Rey has not been nearly as present recently in Destiny 2. We've missed her as well. Not only will you see Ikora again in Season 14, she will be playing a pivotal role in the Witch Queen. That's cool. I always thought it was funny that Ikora served no purpose and she was supposed to be like the Warlock Vanguard. So, I mean, she's in the game now, so that's good, I guess. Hopefully she doesn't go back away into a broom closet somewhere after that. In Beyond Light, we introduced Stasis subclass. Like Solar Arc and Void, Stasis will continue to evolve into a fully supported damage type. In Season 15, we will introduce our first round of Legendary Stasis, Energy, and Power weapons. There will be a lot more info here as we get closer to the fall. For the love of God, Bungie, if Stasis is going to have some status effect, please eventually roll out status effects to Solar Arc and Void weapons. And if Stasis does not have a status effect, what's the point? Like, what is the point of doing Stasis? Is this just going to be another one of your tools to control the meta? If it does not have a status effect, don't even do it. What is the point? That's what I ask. Like, add status effects or don't add Stasis. There would be no purpose. It's just another shield that we have to deal with, just another element. We have to manage our inventory, just another thing that clogs up our vault. What's the point? More recently, in Season 13, we rolled out Phase 1 of our new Gilded title system, where players can gild our ritual titles like Conqueror, Unbroken, Dredgen, and Flawless Season. In Season 14, Phase 2 of Gilded titles will roll out. When players gild a title, it will now also display how many times that title has been gilded in the past. This is cool. One complaint, though, was that the Flawless and Conqueror titles, why were there new titles made? Why wasn't the UI and clutter cleaned up when this was introduced? Why can I go to the old titles, the silver ones on the bottom version of the tab, bottom tab of the screen, and they have all these different conquerors and stuff? Unify into one, clean up the UI, please, people. I thought y'all were like really big about like not liking UI to be clustered. I can't overstate how excited I am for the team was planning for this year and beyond. What we're doing this year is about multiplying our potential for years to come, and while I promise not to spoil any of the things we will reveal for the Witch Queen later this year, I feel like I owe you a little treat for sticking with me after all this text. So here's an early concept at one of the wild armor sets you'll be able to earn in our next annual release. So this is pretty cool. I'm really digging the Titan like arms. They look very tactical. The chest piece, they have like, they have like all this stuff, like equipment. Same thing for the Hunter. They're all kind of doing this vibe. The Warlock less so. It looks like he has like a garbage bag right here. So he's going to go around the city and clean up. Hunter right here looks like he's going to be cooking something with Mr. Heisenberg out in the desert somewhere. So there's that. Please get rid of this like cardboard robot costume on the Warlock right here. I feel like this like cloth behind it would look so much cooler. And if you remove the loincloth, we'd like have a trench coat kind of shape right here. So please, Bungie. Why does the Warlock always have to suffer fashion? Titan Hunter. What's up with the like big shuriken ninja star thing on the face? Like I don't know who paints their face. That's like getting a face tattoo, in my opinion. Like, not good advice. Very, very distinguished, but, most people don't like them. Other than that, looks pretty good. And that is the end. Thanks for reading, Joe Jorgoth Blackburn, Assistant Game Director, Destiny 2. So, those were my thoughts. If you like this video, a thumbs up is appreciated, and hitting the subscribe button with the bell notification to be notified of future videos I put out. I typically don't do this kind of stuff, but I felt like there was so much stuff in here that is very important, and I felt like a lot of these things have to be read with a grain of salt, and you have to consider the worst case possible situation, because time and time again, we've seen that they say something that is really cool sounding, but then we get something completely different and doesn't solve the problem. It just shifts it. Kind of like the time when One-Eyed Mask got like 3 different nerfs and they just kept shifting, like, this will fix the problem. No, this will fix the problem. And then they finally landed on one that finally fixed the problem. The thing that the community was saying. It's kind of like infusion caps. Like sunsetting, you know? Got the community here that's been playing the game for a lot longer. Like, a lot longer than anyone at Bungie could be playing. Like, cumulative hours. And then you have Bungie. You have probably, like, a couple guys at Bungie that was like, listen, this sunsetting thing, good idea right there. Community was like, not so sure about that. Oh, you're doing armor too? Ooh, that armor is really hard to get, guys. Can we not? Bungie's like, full steam ahead. We're gonna be sunsetting your stuff, Morty. Community, please, Bungie, please just stop. I put so much time into this. How are you respecting our time, Bungie? You know, a year later, we might get rid of sunsetting. That's how sure we are on this idea. But the community's like, oh my god, they're finally getting rid of sunsetting. Bungie's like, yeah, you guys were right. We were wrong. We were so sure on this idea. But we... Well, as I said, thanks for watching. Thumbs up. Subscribe. Have a good day.